Welcome to Coach Chloe, the journey to self love. This is the sixth episode of our first series, The Journey to Self Love. Today, we're going to talk about our journey of our dreams. We'll continue that journey and how our dreams shape our lives and the way we experience life. In our last episode, we started with this prompt: Once upon a dream, wondering what possibilities await us in life. And that is the art of curiosity. Asking the question, what would happen if, sets you in motion to explore and discover the real you, to understand and to know the greatness in you. The human inside you that is emerging is a greater you. This greater you is not your ego. This greater you is not vanity. This greater you is not pride, nor is it arrogance. This greater you is humility. It's removing all the fluff and the mask, it's unveiling the real you. And that's the conversation we will continue today. How do you keep dreaming? In life, we have dreams, and on the flip side, we have disappointments. And we may start off with this dream, but somewhere along the line, we may get derailed. What disappointments have you experienced in life? What about disillusionments? What has discouraged you? Where in your life are you living in blame and or shame? What do you feel hopeless about? What about those failures that keep coming and raising its head to remind you? What about negativism? These are things that kill our dreams. They derail us and they take us away from the things that bring us joy. What if you could rise above those disappointments? And how do we do that? How do we keep the dream alive? How do we keep dreaming? The last week, I mentioned my dream about being a podcast host. At the beginning of the year, I went through the loss of a close relationship. It devastated me. It took me away from my dream because in December, my dream was that I will be a podcast host this year. And so when this loss happened, I lost my dream. It derailed me. But here's what happened: the more space I created to ruminate on the loss, the more I started to downward spiral. So space happens in our mind and we begin to think about things that are negative. It takes us backwards. I needed to know, how could I fill those empty spaces in my mind with something that was more productive, that was going to bring more joy, that was going to get me to a place where I started feeling better than I was, not devastated. What was not devastating was having more peace. So I accessed my greatness through one of my values, which is creativity. And I did share that with all of you. When I'm accessing the value of creativity, I usually sit at the piano. I play music is my life. I love sitting at the piano, listening to music, going to concerts. So guess what I did? I signed up for concerts. I signed up for 2 concerts a month for most of the year. And every Saturday evening, I'd get dressed. I would look my best self, get an Uber, jump in the Uber, go to a concert in New York City, sit by myself. Now, let me tell you, it was uncomfortable, it was hard, but I needed to do something uncomfortable to get to a place where I was accessing my greatness, where I was being able to fill these empty spaces. It wasn't easy, but when I sat in that seat in the concert hall or the location where I was watching a show, um, I forgot about the people around me, and I just immersed myself in the music, which again, like I said, that's my passion. That's my happy place. When we live in the disappointments and the discouragements, we really are living in the past. Dreaming doesn't happen in the past. History happens in the past. But we can change the trajectory of our lives. We can dream. We can rewrite our story. How do we keep dreaming? By finding the one great lesson you learned from the negative past experiences, the one great lesson from what you consider failure. How do you turn that failure around into a success? Because, when you're looking at what did I learn from this failure, or what am I learning from this disappointment? That disappointment and failure has no power because you've turned that around into something wonderful, something about you and how you're emerging. So, at this point here, I'm going to ask you to put in the chat what is one lesson you learned from your failure that had a positive impact on you? What did it reveal to you about yourself? This is how you keep dreaming. I can say this. When I go to the concerts on my own, I learn about who I am. I learn that I'm happy in my creative place. Well, I'm happy when I'm living my values. I'm happy when I am pursuing my dreams through my values. The very thing that keeps bringing you down is the very thing that gives you the power to rewrite your new story. And how do you do that? By dreaming, by reimagining. Our imagination is powerful, it conjures up mighty images. If we allow it, those images will go downward spiral. But if we access our values and our purpose, then we are changing the course of how we're experiencing the day. If it takes us to the past and we ruminate, we're telling our brain how to think. We're training our brain how to think by ruminating in the past. And so when we train our brain to think in that way, guess what happens? We begin to experience life in the past. It's difficult to be in this present or the future or even pursue a dream. To be able to keep dreaming is being able to change how we think. If we tell our brain new stories, transform stories, then we experience a transformed life. When we keep dreaming, we reimagine life. We write our stories. We keep dreaming. We keep writing. We rewrite those stories. The stories we write are our thoughts. Our thoughts shape who we are. Uh, our thoughts create the day that we want to experience. Our thoughts create the life we want to live. What is a story that has you going around in circle for the longest time? What is that story? Now is the time to change that story. Now is the time to rewrite your story. This is self love. This is learning how to love who you are and learning about this person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, because you spend most of your time with yourself. What do you want your story to be? So, at this moment, please go ahead and, drop in the chat. What is that one lesson that you're learning about yourself? What is that wonderful lesson that's teaching you about the wonder of you, about the greatness in you? This is how you keep dreaming, being able to ask yourself, what am I learning about myself in this? What is the great thing I'm learning about myself? I want to close with two thoughts that I had, and I want to share this with you. The first is your story is changing, and you are the storyteller of your new story. Here's a second thought: what you tell your brain is what your brain remembers. I'm going to say that again. Your story is changing, and you are the storyteller of your story. And the second thought is what you tell your brain is what your brain remembers. So, what do you want your brain to remember? That's how you keep dreaming. Uh, Looking forward to our next session, which is called Don't Define Me. Do you know why? Because we define ourselves. We tell our new transformed story.